Episode number 86 of Making the Case. The myth of the independent woman. Let's get it. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Making the Case. Episode number 86. I'm excited because I know I got another great topic for you. If you hear some congestion, it's because I'm working through a bug. I've been around somebody that gave me the heebie-jeebies, okay? But the work must go on, okay? Hey, of course, I'm none other than Dr. Jacob Isom, educator, author, speaker, entrepreneur, content creator, consultant, father, a little bit of everything, man. Hey, we got two channel norms. One, we'll take points in our people, and then two, we don't do all the cussing, derogatory stuff. We like to keep it professional over here. All right. As I mentioned, of course, I got another great episode for you. I'm excited, man, because today we talking about the myth of the independent woman. Now I know you've heard it over and over and over again. Unless you've been hiding under a rock somewhere. You've heard the term and the phrase independent woman a million different times, right? I'm here to make the case and to tell you that that is just a myth. That is not true. There is no such thing as an independent man. There's no such thing as an independent woman. Okay. We are what we term interdependent. I just got through telling my students in class a couple days ago. I've been saying it for a very long time. You can't name a point in history where men live without women and women live without men. There's not one. So that means we are interdependent. That means there are things that men do in our society and there are things that women do in our society. So to run around and say that you are an independent woman, that's baloney, right? Now, we know that it's intentional because it fits right along with that feminism agenda, right? To look out for the betterment of women, to, push women rights and things of that nature, while at the same time try and diminish the role of a man. Okay. That's what saying you're an independent woman does. What are you independent of? You're independent of a man. But it's so silly and it's so sad because while at the same time, and by the way, this is a first world problem, right? Feminism isn't a thing in third world countries. We just got to be honest, right? Um, so the mere idea, and is to be honest with you, it's disrespectful. That's what it really is, right? Because when we talk about honoring our military, right? Well, majority of the time, who are we honoring? It's men, right? Who are on the front lines? When you call the police, who are more likely going to show up? If it's a fire, who is going to show up? Right? So we got to stop this nonsense. We really got to put an end to this, right? Because it's very disrespectful. Okay. So in today's episode, what we're gonna do is we're going to address why there's no such thing as an independent woman. Even when you look at it from the aspect of the fact that a single mother, right? Well, she's getting help from somebody, right? And who is she getting help from? The quote unquote patriarchy that people love to say is just bad, right? But she getting help from the government. She getting subsidized from somebody, right? She's getting more than likely she's getting help from a man. Okay. And the crazy part is, even if it's not a father, it's a grandfather, it's an uncle, it's a brother, it's a cousin. So they don't even look at their being disrespectful to the very men that's in their family. Right? Saying that you're an independent woman. Well, there are a man or men that helped you along the way. Whether you a single mother, whether you living by yourself, I guarantee you, if you hire movers, guess who the movers are? We got to stop this, man. All right. So before we go on to our first piece of evidence, I want to actually show you some numbers. All right. Let's look at some numbers real quick. All right. So let's look at some stats. All right, real quick. This won't take nothing but a minute. All right. Now, so what we're gonna look at the jobs and the fields that are mostly dominated by men. And we might look at the fields mostly dominated by women. And I just want you to look at the stark difference, right? So when it comes to mechanics and electricians, vehicle technician, mechanics, and electrician, 99% male. I will say that's pretty important, right? Because we all drive vehicles, everything, everywhere we go, electricity is being used. I would say who was climbing the poles in storms and stuff like that, men are. All right. Electrician and electrical fitters, 98% men. Electrical and electronic technician, 96% men. Metalworking machine operators, 92% men. Really 93. Plumbers and heating, ventilating engineers, 98% men. So these are all things because we all live in homes, apartments, some type of building, right? So when it comes to the electricity and the furnishing and all that stuff, 90+% of that is being done by men. But you independent though. Let's keep going. Drivers. Forklift truck drivers, 97% male. Large good vehicle driver, 97%. So we're talking about food being delivered. Most of the people who are farmers, men. Taxi cab drivers, chauffeurs. I would add Uber and things like that, 95% male. Train and tram drivers, 94% male. Bus and coach driver, 92. So we talking about transportation. I think that's pretty important, right? Who mostly build the cars? And now who's mostly driving them? Other drivers and transport operatives, 89% male. Construction occupations, carpenters and joiners, 99%. Elementary construction occupations, 97%. Construction and building trades, 96%. Painters and decorators, 95%. So who was building the homes? Who was painting the homes? Men. Engineers. Electrical engineers, 94%. Mechanical engineers. Electronic engineers, 93%. Aircraft pilots and engineers, 91%. You women love to travel, right? You love to say you flying places. Who's more likely going to get you there safely? A man. Civil engineer professionals, IT, telecommunication engineers, 95% IT. So when it comes to science, technology, engineering, and math, dominated by men. Construction, dominated by men. Firefighting, police work, oil rigs, dominated by men. But you don't need one. There's no need to look at the women occupation. These are the things that keep society running and going. As a matter of fact, let's look at it real quick. Personal care workers, healthcare associates, cleaners and helpers, teaching professional, customer service clerks. Those are the industry dominated by women. Do you see the difference? But they claim to be independent. But I just showed you the occupation that really runs stuff around here in this world, in this country, in this society, dominated by men. Your cousins, your brothers, your uncles are doing the heavy lifting while you claim to be independent and don't need a man. All right, man. I just wanted to show you that. So, what are we talking about? All right. Let's go on to our first piece of evidence.
What do you mean? If you're independent, you have to be independent of someone or something, dumb shit. Of men, I guess? Really? That's interesting. So you don't ever ask men to lift things for you, move heavy objects, get things off the top shelf, pay for dates, government assistance, spousal support, alimony, no child support. You're full of shit. Women need men more than ever. They are not independent of us, and they never will be. Get it straight. So don't ever listen to that bullshit, guys. You know what you do? You go get yourself a traditional foreign woman who's dependent on us, interdependent, and then you live much happier.
Grew up in a household where I was raised to be independent, and then a man was only there as someone to pass stuff on to and to chastise and scold like a child.
Hold on a minute. Did you hear what she just said?
What?
She was raised to be independent.
Yeah.
And the only thing a man was there for was to pass stuff on to.
Yeah. To chastise and scold like a child.
Right. But to pass things on to.
Right.
Meaning things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't make you independent.
Damn, you're right.
No, I know, because that's not how that works. If you want to be independent, you fucking do it all on your own.
Yeah.
If you need somebody to pass things on to and you want to shit on somebody or make them do the grunt work that you don't want to do, you're not independent.
Right. You are dependent on somebody else to get things done for you.
Right, because you're not willing to do them yourself. That is the exact opposite of independence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's actually codependent.
Yeah, it is.
If your car needs maintenance and you rely on your man to do it because you don't know what to do,
you are not independent.
You are not independent. Grew up in a household where I was raised.
You ever heard an Asian woman screaming out, "I'm an independent woman, I don't need a for shit"?
No, because she's saying it in Mandarin.
Have you ever heard her say she's independent and she don't need her man? That's what I said. Black women are the only people that celebrate not having a man. Here's a word to y'all independent women. First and foremost, you got to understand the definition of independent. Independent means that you are celebrating the fact that there is nobody with you. Black women, you are celebrating the fact that you don't got a that you don't have a man, that you don't have a father, that you don't have a dad, that you don't have a husband, that you don't have some kind of male influence in your life. You're celebrating being alone. That's why we don't like y'all independent. Why would I want a hoe that celebrate me not being there? Then you get mad at us for not being there and call us deadbeats. Oh, you ever?
All right, so that was my first piece of evidence. So those series of videos were just to kind of further my point based on the stats that I just showed you, is that women aren't independent like they really think they are. And it's really delusional. And the mere fact that we allow this type of rhetoric, this type of talk to last for so long, I really blame men for it, right? The fact that we're around in the shadows, fixing things, doing things, and then allowing women to, they're not really taking credit, but what they really is just being dismissive of the fact that if men weren't doing this work, you wouldn't have this cush life to claim you independent of, right? So it's really ridiculous. And I will have to agree with the last video clip that I showed you, which is it's mostly black women. And I really hate to say it. It is, right? So black women took feminism to a whole nother level, right? To the mere fact that they're bragging about being more educated than men. I believe they happy that little boys are on a 3rd, 4th grade reading level. They bragging that they're quote unquote making more money than men when the numbers suggest they're not, right? I just show you the occupations, right? There's numbers to suggest that yes, women are becoming more entrepreneurs, but it's entrepreneurs in eyelashes and opening up your own hair salon and things of that nature that don't keep the infrastructure around. We just got to be real. It's not in STEM fields. It's not in construction. It's not in the things that keep this country going. We just got to be honest with it. So how you going to brag on something that is not maintaining and establishing how we are to survive? Like it's really ridiculous, right? Because if the men did that, that's why I did the video several shows back about how men are just talking and not doing the work. See, men, we got to do the work. It's some men out here just talking, but it's some men out here that's doing the work. And if those men weren't doing the work, we wouldn't have what we have. I wouldn't have this lighting. I wouldn't have this microphone. I wouldn't have this camera, right? If it wasn't for men doing the work. So we just got to be real about it, man. Like, and stop feeding into this notion that people are independent. Like, please, let's stop this, man. All right, man, let's get into our second piece of evidence.
Do you want to raise your daughters to be grown, independent women? No, unless you want her to be single or divorced. She's supposed to be a helper, and she's supposed to be one with her husband. It says in the Bible that a son takes a wife. He leaves his mother and father and takes a wife. It says that a daughter is given in marriage. You know what that means? Her dad's still involved. My goal with my daughters was to make them strong, but not independent. What's the difference? An independent woman is not fit to be a wife. That's why they're single and divorced or marrying guys that are less than that they can then mother. My goal with my daughters was not to make them independent, but strong. My daughters, very strong. My wife, very strong. Strength is not a problem. Independence is. Do you want to raise your daughter?
What's up, my guys? We're switching it up today and calling out the red flags in women. Here are the types of women to not date. The independent woman. Controversial, yes, but hear me out. Independence is fine, but I think some independent women seek independence out of spite. Spite of men, that is. If their goal of independence is to completely beat out the men in the race, that's where they become a toxic partner. Men and women are supposed to complement each other. If a woman can accept that a man should be better at her than some things, this is bound to fail. The insecure woman. I get it. We've all been insecure at some point in our lives, but this woman is dangerous. She's at a weak point in her life, and I feel for her. But unfortunately, she's going to accept validation wherever she can find it. This will probably lead her to some poor decision making and some deep emotional ties to men that aren't you. She's bound to find security in herself someday, but by the time she does, she'll realize you weren't her soulmate. You were only her.
All right, that was my second piece of evidence. They said it, not me. I just happen to agree with their sentiments because even with the first clip, right, he was speaking from the Bible standpoint, right? We've all heard of the phrase, he who findeth a wife finds a good thing, right? And although I'm not a follower of the Bible or the Christian faith, there's a lot of tenets and a lot of things I do agree with, no different than the Quran, the Torah, or any other quote unquote holy book that has been prescribed. So the things I do agree with, those are the things that make sense, right? The man is supposed to be a protector and provider. The woman a sustainer and a support system, right? So the woman is supposed to be the helpmate, right? Now, unfortunately, nowadays, so many women are living outside of what their role is supposed to be. And a lot of men are too, but the difference is that a lot of men don't have examples to be shown that. Whereas women are literally being trained and raised to be independent. And that's the problem, is the mindset. Man, I see and meet gorgeous women every single day. Just beautiful. But what makes them unattractive and unfit for a relationship and marriage is their mentality. This whole partnership thing. This whole, I don't need a man, but I want one. This whole, I'm an independent woman. I hope you're strong enough to handle me. That is not the way you're supposed to be looking at it. Where's the femininity? Where's the cooperation? Where's the submissiveness? Right? That's the mentality you need in order to maintain, sustain a relationship that is balanced. Because as women gonna say they want leaders, right? They want a strong man and the like. Well, you got to fit into your role as well. So when the woman is stating on one of those clips that, well, like a lot of women, you don't want the independent woman, because this whole idea of being strong, like You can be strong. Strong doesn't equate to masculine, right? Raising a child by yourself, you don't have to be the man and the father. Like, it's just crazy that some people believe that and think that. It's all about mentality. And that's where we've went astray. So this whole idea of independence it's a myth. It's not true, right? You've never done anything totally absent of a man. Never. Everything has a man touch on it, including you. A man have touched you before? You know what I mean. All right. You came from a man. So let's get into our third piece of evidence and wrap this on up. I think y'all get the gist.
Neither was the man created for the woman.
We were not created for woman. Read on.
But the woman for the man.
Woman was created for us, brothers. Okay, you sisters understand that. Why were you created? I was created to serve you, my Lord. I was created for you, my Lord. Okay, so a lot of you sisters who are listening right now, you're like, man, chauvinist. That's you, independent woman. You're going to die here in America. Okay? You're going to die here in Babylon. Okay. Or you're going to die here in Babylon, or you're going to be that independent woman and you're going to raise these kids, and your kids going to be damn monsters. Meaning they going to be on demon time. You understand? They going to be out there in gangs and murder.
Please do not address me as a strong, independent Black woman. It's not a compliment. I never hear a man that is raising children alone say, I'm mom and dad. He never becomes overly feminine because he's raising children. But we as women become overly masculine because we are raising children, because I'm mom and dad and I got to do all these things, right? And now I put extra stuff on me, and then I say, ain't nobody helping me. Well, nobody told you to do that. There is help available, all because I was trying to overcompensate for what daddy wasn't doing. I didn't have to be mom and dad, because when you think of something strong, you do not think of coming to the aid of it. So when we are looked at and walk around as strong, what we're putting out is, I do not need assistance. I don't need your help. So anytime a man says, oh, I love it, you're so strong, I said, no, I'm not strong. I'm resilient. I'm not independent. I'm interdependent. Because nobody ever comes to the aid of the strong person.
Man, there you have it. My last piece of evidence, number 3, of why there's a myth of this whole independent woman. And I couldn't have said it better myself from the last clip I showed you. Like, we have to stop. And I really, when I say we, I'm really talking women have to stop believing this fairy tale, this myth that they can do it all by themselves. And then they actually believe that they're being successful. Look at the state of our society, right? We've been talking about the stats. I've shown them probably a couple different times on my channel, the stats of single parent household that are mostly ran by women, right? So to be claiming that you don't need no man, you're doing pretty poor when it comes to the numbers, respectfully, right? So the whole notion that you will want to perpetuate, you don't need a man, and look what it's doing to our children, that's the thing, right? The kids are mostly affected. So, and this is the reason why women complain about the deadbeat dad or the mama's boy, stuff like that. Look who they're being raised by. The mentality they're being raised by. Because we allow this whole notion of money, like, oh yeah, I'm making a certain amount of money. And even if they're not making a good amount of money, the fact that you got to make that dollar stretch, right? Get government assistance, get help from mom and dad. You're not independent, you're interdependent. And in some cases, very dependent. Because you can't do it by yourself. You've never done it by yourself. I showed you the numbers. I painted a picture. So we got to stop. This is delusional. We got to stop thinking that we don't need each other. That's our problem. We think money gonna fix everything. Money don't make you happy. People do. I see it every day when I'm on social media. Some fools are posting picture of money. That's mostly men, right? Women don't post picture of money. Guess who women post picture of? Their children. Being with their parents, their friends. They post picture of people. Because by nature, in their nature, they're a people person. They want to please people. They're happy with people. They ain't happy making money like that. That's a masculine trait. So many of you want to be men so bad. You want to do what men do, but you can't be successful at it, even if you do it. Hey, we gonna stop right there, man. Like, so I believe I made a very strong case. You let me know in the comments, man. Hey, it costs you nothing to like the video. It costs you nothing to share the video. All right. So let me know what you think, and people have, and I appreciate you, and I thank y'all for being respectful, because at the end of the day, respect is the most important thing that we have, because everybody wants it, right? So I appreciate y'all for rocking with me, man. We're a channel up and growing, man. So we're gonna keep posting this content, and we're gonna keep getting to it. All right, man. As always, I'm you, you are me. Love always, love eternal. Remember, the worst thing you can do is lie to yourself. Hey, I think we just made that case, baby. All right, deuces. One love.